Namaskar and hi friends. I am Dr. Hemant. Today we are going to meet Advocate Manas Joshi. Advocate Manas Joshi is based in Pune, Maharashtra. He is basically a consultant and a trainer in indirect taxes. He has done a lot of work in service tax, central excise, VAT. In fact, he's been in this area since the last almost 12 to 15 years. He gives support to organizations in some terms of consulting, advisory or handholding services. And also, he represents companies for their cases in terms of tribunals, appellates. Am I right? Yeah. And let us not forget that he is also a very good trainer. In fact, we have jointly and he has independently trained thousands of people in indirect taxes. People have been coming from across Maharashtra to Pune for our training programs. So we are going to have a nice little chat today, and the topic of today's discussion is the hot thing in the market. No, it is not burgers, it is not McDonald's, it is GST. If I am right, goods and services tax. So before I have made a structured questionnaire because I am not so intelligent as Advocate Manas. So but before that, would you like to add anything? Maybe a few words about yourself?
Sure. I'm in this field of excise service tax and customs since last 12 years. Specifically for GST, I'm supporting two various forums, and we have made lot of representations to Government of India, Finance Ministry, through various forums. So if you observe, the first GST draft, which was published in June 2016, the revised draft got published in December 2016, and in the second revised draft there are drastic changes. So these drastic changes is just because of lot of representations which are being received by the Finance Ministry from various forums, and these representations have been taken care positively.
So, and I was told you have also made some representation, given some inputs.
Yes, so I have given those representations to these forums, like to MCCI and to CII. And these two forums have made representation further to the Finance Ministry in this regard.
Right. So the first question which comes to our mind is, what is GST?
Right.
Yeah, can you please throw some light on this?
Yes. So GST, as most of people now aware, it's a goods and services tax. It's a tax on goods and services. Now currently there are two types of taxes. One is direct tax and second is indirect tax. So direct tax, yes, it covers income tax, but as far as indirect tax are concerned, there is a huge list like service tax, central excise, state excise, CST, that is central sales tax, luxury tax. So all these taxes fall under indirect taxes. Now in case of GST, majority of these indirect taxes will be replaced by GST. So going ahead, there will not be central excise duty, there will not be service tax, there will not be VAT except on liquor, there will not be CST, there will not be luxury tax. So all these taxes will be subsumed in GST.
Okay. So how is GST different from these various taxes?
Mostly, if you see, currently there is a specific structure about taxes. Now for example, excise duty is on manufacture. So the moment you manufacture some goods and the moment you remove those manufactured goods, we have to pay excise duty. The moment you sell those goods, which means when the ownership is getting transferred to other person, in that case we have to pay VAT or CST, that's a sales tax. Now going ahead, or in case of services, once you provide any service, you have to pay service tax on that. Now going ahead, when you supply the goods, now supply, they have defined the term supply in the GST bill. It is a very, you can see that any kind of supply of goods in any form, it might be a sale, it might be a barter, it might be an exchange, it might be on lease, on rental purpose. So any kind of supply of goods and services for consideration will require to be covered under GST. So it is a mere supply of goods. So currently, in case of manufacturer, he has to pay excise and sales tax. A trader is supposed to pay sales tax only, no need to pay excise duty. Now going ahead, manufacture and trading, these two concepts will be merged in GST. So there is no bifurcation of manufacture and trading as such. So the moment you supply, whether a traded goods or manufactured goods, you will have to pay GST.
Okay. So, as a result of this, then what would be the impact on corporates or organizations or the industry as such of this GST?
Uh, there are I divide impact on corporate in two parts.
Okay.
First part is immediate impact, and the second part could be long term impact.
Okay.
Now, as far as the immediate impact is concerned, yes, companies have to revisit their costing of the product.
Okay.
There will be they require lot of changes in the software system, lot of customization they have to do in the software system also. Apart from that, yes, currently the main challenge which I personally feel is company people are used to
Yeah.
for central excise compliance, for service tax compliance, for sales tax compliance, and the rules and regulations. Now, going ahead, in one sentence, and if I need to explain GST, in that case, we need to learn how to unlearn the current taxes.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest challenge in case of GST.
Okay.
So this is the immediate impact on the company. Yes. Now going ahead, there will be a long-term impact also, which depends on company to company.
Okay.
So it may be like the working capital,
Okay.
because in some cases the working capital may be blocked for some period.
Okay.
In some cases, now for example, if company are purchasing anything outside Maharashtra, they are supposed to pay excise 12.5% and CST 2%. So roughly it comes to 14.75%.
Okay.
So the cash outflow for the supplier is basic price plus 14.75% roughly.
Yeah.
Now going ahead, in case of GST, when they purchase anything outside Maharashtra, they will have to pay around 18%, because currently the government has finalized 4 rates of GST, that is 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%.
Okay.
And among these 4 rates, 18% is a standard rate.
Okay.
So in majority of cases, the rate of GST will be around 18%.
Okay.
So in that case, a transaction where today I am supposed to pay 14.75% in case of purchase outside Maharashtra, going ahead I will have to pay 18%.
Okay.
So my cash outflow is going to increase
Okay.
to some extent.
Okay.
So likewise, there are a few other impacts also.
Okay. And what would be the income limit, the base price?
It is just 20 lakh rupees.
Okay.
So-
but I guess for the Northeast it is separate?
It is 10 lakh rupees.
10 lakh. Okay.
Yes,
And
but
for the rest of India,
Other,
20 lakh.
it is 20 lakh. So almost each and every businessman will
Okay.
be covered in GST.
Okay. Okay. So you mean to say even the common man will be affected? from this?
Certainly yes.
So what would be the impact on
Certainly yes. The reason behind this is, now if you purchase anything from the market. Now let's take example of Maggi.
Okay.
Now if you purchase a Maggi in Pune,
Yeah.
you will find that the manufacturing place is outside Pune
Okay.
or even outside Maharashtra.
Right.
So currently the manufacturer is charging 12.5% excise and 2% CST.
Right.
So currently, apart from other costs,
Yeah.
apart from traveling, overheads and other manufacturing costs, from taxes perspective it is 14.75%. Now
Okay.
going ahead, it may attract straight away 18%.
Okay.
So a product whose price is, let's say, 20 rupees,
Yeah.
going ahead its price is going to increase by 2%, 3% because of this GST.
Okay. Okay.
So the prices of I can't say all the goods,
Yeah.
but for majority of goods the prices may increase.
Okay.
On the same line, as far as service part is concerned, now currently service tax rate is 14%, 0.5% Krishik allowances and 0.5% Swachh Bharat. So roughly on an average it is 15% rate. Now going ahead, our finance minister has made it clear that for goods the rate will be 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%, but for services it will be 12% or 18%.
Okay.
And so majority cases, if it is 18%,
Yeah.
then again the price of service
Okay.
will go up.
Okay. So as a common man, the question which comes to my mind is what will happen to the price of two-wheelers and more importantly cars?
Yes.
Will it increase, reduce?
No.
I mean, do I need to book a car right away?
Definitely, because as I say, in majority of cases,
Yeah.
the prices will go up.
Okay.
But yes, there are certain exceptions, and one of
Okay.
the exceptions which I personally feel is car,
Okay.
because currently we are paying around more than 30% taxes,
Yeah.
indirect taxes, I would say. Now going ahead, even if the highest rate is 28%,
Yeah.
so even if I assume that for luxury cars it is 28%, still
Okay.
the prices of car will go down because of GST.
That's good. Okay.
So I have seen some inquiries from my client also, that they wanted to purchase a car maybe in 2-3 months time,
Okay.
and they asked me whether, if in case of GST, if the prices of car are expected to go down in
Okay.
GST, can I postpone my decision of purchasing car in case of GST?
I see.
So these are the practicalities which may affect for common man also.
Okay. So then another related question which comes to my mind is, how far is the awareness of GST today, as on today, if it's April 2017, amongst the people of India or the corporates, how far is the awareness of GST? What do you feel?
Yes, as far as large scale companies are concerned, means roughly turnover more than maybe 10 crore, not turnover, the investment in plant and machinery.
Okay.
If I see companies in such a size, as a large scale companies, then yes, they have started studying about GST. There is a little awareness among such companies also.
Yeah.
But yes, the biggest worry is small scale industries or small scale manufacturers and traders.
Okay.
The main reason is even till today the government was not ready, or government was not saying 100% yes, GST will come into picture from this particular date.
Okay.
So there, whatever dates we are discussing are probable dates.
Okay.
So industries were not taking this GST seriously.
I see.
So there is a lesser awareness among industry. But yes, as you are aware, the GST bill is passed in Lok Sabha,
Okay.
and it is cleared in Rajya Sabha also.
Yeah.
So definitely GST will be our future.
Yeah.
So they will have no option but to take it seriously.
Yeah. So currently some those GST council meetings are going on.
Yes, yes.
Would you like to add a sentence or two about that?
Yes, the latest meeting was held on 31st of March.
Right.
There they have approved various rules, GST draft rules, and fortunately they have published 8 or 9 sets of rules
Okay.
immediately on the next day. Is the public domain,
Okay.
so that a common man, a consultant or industries, they can go through that list,
Yeah.
the rules which are published, and they can understand what could be the probable rules,
I see.
because I see hardly any changes in such rules.
Okay.
In the last meeting they have mentioned that the next meeting will be 18th and 19th May.
I see.
So on 18th and 19th of May, they are going to finalize the tax structures,
Okay.
like which goods and services will fall under which schedule.
I see.
Means which product will fall under, will attract 5% GST or 12% GST or 18% GST or
Okay.
28% GST. So they will finalize a list of by 18th or 19th of May.
Okay. One term or words which we have been hearing is, what is input tax credit?
If I have to pay tax on my output side, so for example in the current tax also, the same analogy is applicable for central excise, service tax and sales tax also. For example, if I'm manufacturing something and if I have to pay central excise duty on the manufactured goods, then for manufacturing some things I have to purchase some raw material.
Right.
So when I'm purchasing some raw material, that supplier is supposed to charge me excise duty.
Okay.
So when he's charging excise duty, I can take credit of that excise duty which I have paid to my supplier,
Okay.
and that credit I can offset against my output tax liability.
Okay.
So that is input tax credit concept,
Right.
which is going to continue in case of GST also.
I see.
So in GST, for taking credit, there are 4 conditions.
Okay.
The first condition is you should have some documentary evidence, like it may be a tax invoice, or it may be a supplementary invoice or debit note, or any document where it is mentioned that the supplier has charged GST.
Okay.
So any document is sufficient. The second condition is the manufacturer or the person should receive the goods
Okay.
or he should receive the services.
Okay.
So he has to prove on record or by documentary evidences
Right.
that he has received the goods.
Okay.
So mostly a GRA which is maintained in the industry
Yeah.
or the companies, they have to maintain such kind of reports also.
Okay.
The up to these two conditions are not that much harsh, what I practically I feel. But last two conditions, like the supplier who has charged GST,
Yeah.
he should pay GST to the government,
Okay.
and whatever GST he has paid to the government,
Yeah.
that amount or that transaction should get reflected in his GST return.
Okay. Okay.
So in a nutshell, if I purchase anything from a supplier, he charged me GST in his bill.
Okay.
If going ahead, if I pay GST amount to that supplier also,
Right.
but if the supplier could not pay GST to the government,
Yeah.
then government will not allow me to take credit.
Okay.
It's not a government, I should say the system,
Okay.
because in GST it's a system driven.
Okay. Okay.
So if the system does not allow me to take credit,
Yeah.
which means even if I have received the goods, even if I have documentary evidences, even if I have made payment to my supplier,
Okay.
still I cannot take credit.
Okay. In fact, you use the word here return.
Yes.
So that the question which comes to my mind is what would be the various compliances under GST then? Would it be much more complicated? And if you could just throw some light on it, please.
Sure.
Please.
There are around 9 returns
Yeah.
in case of GST. But we can discuss 3 main returns because these 3 returns are applicable to almost all cases.
Okay.
So first return is like GSTR 1.
Okay.
It is a return where the manufacturer or the trader is supposed to provide his sales details. It will include all his tax invoices,
Yeah.
means his sales invoices. It will include advance also. So here I just want make one point over here is till today for goods the liability for excise is when you manufacture and when you remove, then only your liability is coming to picture. For sales tax it's a sale.
Right.
So the moment you sell the goods, you have to pay sales tax. However, in case of GST, it is invoice or advance, whichever is earlier.
Okay.
Now, for since last, I'd say 70 years
Yeah.
in the history of indirect taxes, we are not used to for this.
Right.
Means if I receive any advance from my customer,
Yeah.
I was not supposed to pay any excise or sales tax. But
Yeah.
now going ahead, I will have to pay GST.
Right.
So when I'm going to file GST on one return,
Yeah.
it should cover my sales invoices, advances, my debit notes, my purchase return. So all these details I have to mention in my GSTR 1 return. So the due date is 10th of the next month.
Okay.
So currently there are certain companies who have to file excise return on a quarterly basis or monthly basis depending upon their turnover.
Okay.
Now for example, if a company having turnover of 4 crores
Okay.
or less than 4 crore, then they have to file or they have to pay excise return on quarterly basis and they have to file excise return on quarterly basis.
Okay.
However, in case of GST, irrespective of your turnover, you have to file GSTR 1, 2, 3 on monthly basis,
Okay.
except compounding scheme.
Okay.
So the due date for filing of GSTR 1 is 10th. Now in the on 31st of March, whatever GST bill which is passed in Parliament,
Yeah.
they have made one amendment from GSTR 1 perspective.
Okay.
The amendment is if you could not upload GSTR 1,
Yeah.
then for next 5 days you cannot upload.
Okay.
That is the amendment which has come on 31st of March. Now the impact of this amendment is if I do not upload GSTR 1, which is my sales invoices, which means my customer will not be in position to claim credit.
Okay.
So it is his responsibility to include all such invoices in his return,
Yeah.
in his GSTR 2 return.
Okay.
Then only all these invoices will get reflected in my return.
Okay.
So the first date will be 10th of the next month.
Okay.
Then I will get 5 days.
Okay.
So on 15th of the next month I have to file GSTR 2. So GSTR 2 is like all my input tax credit details.
Mm-hmm.
So mostly it is auto-populated because all my suppliers who will be filing GSTR 1,
Okay.
their supply is my purchase.
Right.
So it will get updated automatically. yes, I need to make certain changes.
Okay.
The changes like maybe in transit goods, like if my supplier raise invoice on 30th of the month, so he will book that transaction in his GSTR1 return as a supplier. However, if I receive those goods on 1st or 2nd of the month, then one of the condition for taking credit is I should receive the goods.
Okay.
Now in that case, I have never received goods in last month. So though system is allowing me to take credit, I should not take credit, or I should keep that transaction as pending.
Okay.
That's the one exercise which I have to do. And yes, I have to upload all my import goods details,
Okay.
because that cannot be auto-populated.
Okay. So a related question which comes to my mind is with GST deadline approaching very fast is what are the preparatory steps that the various organizations should take for migration to GST? It could be the smaller organizations, even proprietorship concerns, some of the individuals or large corporates. So for this efficient or smooth migration, how should they prepare?
The first step is to migrate their existing registrations. Majority of companies have already migrated.
Okay.
As far as Maharashtra is concerned, companies who are registered under sales tax, almost 87% or 88% of the companies have migrated their registration. So it's a good picture which I feel. However, that's the first or the basic step.
Okay.
As I mentioned, there is some immediate impact and far of long-term impact also. So what I feel is the companies have to prepare from like first is the implementation, or the first I would say is impact analysis.
Okay.
So the company should understand on which transactions GST will get impacted.
Okay.
Now for example, if I am purchasing goods within Maharashtra, so currently I am paying 12.5% VAT and 13.5% 12.5% excise and 13.5% VAT. Roughly it comes to 26-27% taxes. Now going ahead, if I purchase within Maharashtra, I will have to pay 18%.
Okay.
So anyways, such transaction will get affected. Means my cash outflow will reduce to some extent.
Okay.
And vice versa in case of a purchase outside Maharashtra.
Okay.
So that's the first aspect. So these are the transactions will get affected.
Okay.
The second most important aspect which I personally feel is the supply chain management.
Okay.
Because many companies, they have their manufacturing unit in one premises,
Okay.
but they have depots or warehouse in other states.
Yeah.
Now to have depots or warehouse in other state is just because of mainly two reasons.
Yeah.
First reason is just in time.
Okay.
In many cases, customers require the goods as and when he requires. That's the one thing. And the second aspect could be if I supply goods directly to my customer, I will require to charge 2% GST. Now currently the 2% GST is the cost of the customer.
Okay.
So what I do, I transfer the goods from my factory to my depot in that state. I will transfer without payment of sales tax. Subject to condition, I get a form from my branch.
Okay.
And from my branch or depot or warehouse, I will sell those goods to my customer.
Okay.
And I will charge VAT of that respective state.
Okay.
So likewise, my customer can claim that set off.
Okay.
Now going ahead, if I am selling my goods directly from my factory to my customer's premises, I will require to charge IGST, which is standard rate will be 18%. Now this 18% will not be a cost of my customer.
Okay.
So he will prefer to have IGST credit.
Okay.
Now the only impact would be just in time.
Okay.
So while addressing this issue to many of my clients, what we have concluded in majority of cases, like let's have warehouse or depots on the boundaries of the state,
Okay.
or maybe we have depots or warehouse on the metros in the metro cities,
Okay.
or in 4 to 5 states.
Okay.
So likewise, you can reduce your compliances, because I want to add one aspect of GST, and that is under GST it is one state, one registration.
Okay.
So if I have, imagine a situation, I have manufacturing plant in one state and depot or warehouse in all rest 29 states,
Okay.
then 29 into minimum 37 returns in a year.
Okay,
That could be my compliance.
Yeah.
So maybe I may have a separate department as a GST department also,
Okay.
only to comply in GST.
Yeah. So I was reminded of one point of discussion that people had a fear maybe 1 year back, 2 years back, that with GST coming in, there would be retrenchment or some people lose their jobs. But what I can gather from this is if the compliances are going to become slightly tougher in some cases, they may need to retain or even recruit some people.
Yes.
In fact, I guess the government is recruiting a lot of people. And they
Yeah,
want to
100%.
recover taxes and earn revenue.
Yes.
That is of course for the development of the country and infrastructure.
Yes.
For transition, will they have to need to make any changes in their IT systems, ERP, EDP, etc.? Do you suggest?
Definitely,
Okay.
because as I mentioned earlier, GST is a system driven.
Yeah.
So there is no scope for manual entries.
Right.
So even all the ERP systems like SAP, Tally, they have come up with their softwares, which means they will upgrade their system. They will upgrade the system of the company, and after that companies have to customize their system.
Yeah.
So there are many aspects which companies have to consider in implementation part, which is the next step. First is what's the impact analysis.
Yeah.
Second, yes, the implementation part. So in implementation, yes, they have to understand their system. They have to customize as per GST. Now I can give some examples which we are helping to our client in GST implementation. The first and the most important aspect will be we need to develop logics in the system.
Okay.
Now what kind of logic? Now first, let me clear one aspect over here because that's a base. If I am supplying goods from Maharashtra to Maharashtra, then I will have to charge CGST and SGST. If I am supplying goods from Maharashtra to any other state, then I will have to charge IGST.
Okay.
Now its impact, real challenge over here is if I assume that the transaction is intrastate,
Okay.
which means I should have charged IGST. But unfortunately or by mistake, if I charge CGST and SGST, then the law says law or the system will not adjust these taxes.
Yeah.
So the only option which I will have is I should go for the refund claim of CGST and SGST, and I should make payment of IGST with interest.
Okay.
So this is because of this we should develop logic in the system. Now once I raise an invoice in my system, the system should understand whether the transaction is intrastate or interstate.
Okay.
So the logic could be, just one example which I can share is my GST number. Since I am in Maharashtra, my GST number will start from 27.
Okay.
Now if I am supplying goods to a customer who is in Gujarat.
Okay.
Now let's assume that for Gujarat the state code is 24. For Maharashtra it is 27, for Gujarat it is 24.
Okay.
So if once I raise invoice, I have to give the details of all my customer,
Yeah.
which includes his GST number also, and that GST number starts from 27. So if the first two digit of my number
Okay.
and my customer number is if these two digits matches,
Yeah.
then it is intrastate supply.
Okay.
Then I have to charge CGST, SGST.
Okay.
But if these two digits do not match, then I have to presume that this is interstate supply.
Okay.
So in that case, I will have to charge IGST. So this is one of the logics which you have to develop in the software system.
Okay.
Likewise, there are many logics, but
Yeah.
I can share this.
Appropriate algorithms need to be developed.
Yes.
Fine. Friends, let us assume and let us hope very positively that GST comes through in India effective 1st July 2017.
Yes.
The government is making all out efforts, and even the opposition parties, most of them are supporting due to various reasons best known to them.
Yes.
So let us hope 1st July the deadline is met with. As I have already told during the start of this discussion, that Advocate Manas also conducts full day training programs, even 2 days detailed training programs on GST, which is indirect tax we are talking of right now. So would you like to throw some light on, in brief, what is the program structure or what are the contents of the program, one-day program? Here a point which came out during the discussion is, I feel even the IT department people of the companies, the EDP, MIS people or the IT guy who is involved in designing this processes for in terms of the IT also needs to be involved in the training. Am I right?
Yes.
Apart from the finance, accounts, taxation guys, the purchase, stores, materials, we use different terminology for these departments, or the latest buzzword for last maybe 10 years is supply chain people. Apart from your entire management team, they also need to be aware what is GST and where the organization needs to move. Yeah, so coming back to Advocate Manas, would you like to, in brief, tell the flow of your program, a one-day program? Let's say.
Sure. So, roughly what I do, in the first session, I divide in two sessions first of all. In the
Okay.
first session, the first half,
Pre-lunch session.
pre-lunch session we can say, I concentrate on the background of GST, then supply. Understanding of the meaning of the term supply is very important. So there are certain transactions which are with consideration or without consideration. So the supply needs to be understood. Then in the next part, the input tax credit means what are the conditions for taking credit and how the credit can be utilized. So that I cover. Then the invoicing. When you have to raise invoice, how you have to raise invoice.
Okay.
So that will be taken care. Then comes the valuation. Now recently on 31st of March, they have GST Council has approved various rules, GST rules, and one of the rules is valuation rules.
Okay.
And it has been the rules. What I personally feel is going ahead. Majority of litigations will be based on valuation.
Okay.
So one needs to understand the valuation rules from GST perspective. Then definitely I cover the point of taxation,
Yeah.
like when you have to charge GST. Now, as I mentioned in my earlier one of the questions, like now we have to pay GST on invoice or advance, whichever is earlier. For services also, invoice, advance, whichever is earlier. And now one thing I just want to add over here is on 31st of March, where the GST bill was passed, 29th I should say. So in that case, for services, now it is typical challenge for service providers. Now if I am supplying any service to my client, then it's a date of invoice, date of advance, or the date on which my client shows or books receipt of my services in his books of accounts.
Okay.
It's a provision,
Yeah.
whichever is earlier. So keeping that all these aspects in mind, yes, one needs to understand what's the point of taxation
Okay.
for that. So normally I cover these aspects in the first session. In the second session, I cover mainly upon job work.
Okay.
What are the aspects in job work? Then refund aspect. Then the most important is compliance.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned, there will be almost 9 types of returns. So GST 1, 2, 3 will be common for majority of all companies, monthly returns. So normally I discuss what are the practical difficulties.
Okay.
What could be the practical difficulties while filing of GST return.
Right.
Because I personally feel is in GST, understanding of GST may not be that difficult.
Okay.
Because in one sentence, if I want to say, the law of GST is based on law of excise and service tax,
Okay.
and the compliance part is based on sales tax.
Yeah.
So understanding of GST will not be that difficult, but yes, the most important things, there are 2 things which are most important. One is the time management
Right.
and the fund management. I think these are 2 most important aspects. So
Okay.
the compliance under GST, the returns under GST, that I cover. Then yes, I would cover the payment aspect also.
Okay.
How you have to make payment in GST by using credit or by using or by through bank also.
Yes.
So how you have to do that, I cover. Then there are last 3 important aspects which I cover and which I devote more time for
Right.
discussing this. The first one is the transition provisions,
Okay.
because there are many transactions which may be started in pre-GST regime and which may get end in the post-GST.
Yeah.
So how to tackle these transactions?
Yeah.
So that's the first aspect which I'll cover. The second is impact.
Yeah.
So what could be the normal impact on industries?
Okay.
So we have some 20 points, 20 transactions which make it impact in GST. So I cover all those 20 plus there will be an interactive session for this impact also. And the last but not the least, what preparatory steps company should take just to get ready for GST. So these are the points which normally I cover in the one-day training program. Moreover, since I have given 50 plus trainings, the seminars only in case of GST, what I have observed is currently maybe an excise, service tax or sales tax, it is the primary responsibility of a tax team or the finance team or the accounts team. Purchase department never covered for this compliance. No sales department or marketing department, no IT department or no HR department also for that matter. However, what I personally feel is each and every department, whether it's a tax, accounts, finance department, procurement or purchase department, sales or marketing department, IT department, HR department, store department, all these departments should come together to comply in GST. So now the real challenge for company is to coordinate, and they require coordination and cooperation for complying under GST. So what I recommend to all the companies to have an in-house sessions.
Cross-functional team.
Yes, because each and every department or the representative can come for that session and they can address their questions also. Or we can address their questions also.
Surely. Fine, Advocate Manojji. Thanks a lot. I can assure you that in fact we have done a lot of programs together wherein he has been the faculty. He has a very structured PowerPoint presentation or 8-hour presentation. He uses it during the program. The entire presentation itself is given to the participants as notes. Believe me, nobody is willing to share the entire presentation. Even sometime or many times he has given the entire soft copy which we have circulated to the participants. The programs, let me assure you, are very interactive. All the queries of the participants will be answered during the program. In fact, we request them pre-program, we send them some pre-program mailers to come prepared with the list of their questions. So all those are also answered very well during the programs. So friends, if you need any support on GST in terms of a training program at your premises, at your factory, anywhere in India, Advocate Manas is ready to travel. Any other support in terms of advisory or handholding, do contact us. In fact, what we are going to do is we are going to upload a YouTube video of this, and that was the purpose of our meeting today. We will be giving our email ID below the description of the video. So you can please send us emails on that email ID. Just to quote the email ID, it will be goldsap, goldsap@gmail.com. But if you are not able to make out from the audio, you can please refer it below the YouTube video. And also to contact us for any sort of support. And once you get to know him, in fact, he will give you lifelong telephonic support also afterwards. So, Advocate Manasji, very nice meeting you. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, friends. Thank you.